In this video, I'm going to look at two simple sort of basically hello worlds in Vue using the Vue library. The second one will use sort of a module JavaScript. Okay. And if you want this code, it can be found at the link seen here. All right. So this page is just posts a message where the message was in the value of a variable. So I have this quote is the view part, and everything else is just basically text. So let's have a look at this. Okay, so here's my HTML, the link to the code if you want it. I'm using a CDN. So I'm going, and this is version 3 of Vue. So I'm just going up to the internet and grabbing that code that way. A title, I have some style and some CSS, not very much. Okay, now here's my body. Here is a div, and this is where the element of the page to which I will be applying the sort of the Vue code. So Vue gets applied to an element on the page to it, and that can be a region. It doesn't have to be, the last branch of the tree, the lowest. It can be a whole sort of. You can apply it to a container, and there can be things in that container. So this is where Vue is going to be applied. And then the sort of one of the main signals of, I don't know, Vue-ness, that something's coming up in Vue, is these curly curlies. So curly curly message here is the indication that Vue is going to replace. So that's sort of indication that it's a Vue variable and it's going to be replaced with that Vue variable's value. Now down here, just for demonstration purposes, I have curly curly message again, but outside of this region, and we see that that just appears as curly curly message. So it's not within the section, so it does not get replaced with a value. And then finally, down here is just my link to my code, the Vue code, and there's not much to this. I made a thing called message. It had a data. The data portion is a single variable in this case, a single property with a property name message, and the value, this quote, it is easier to go down the hill than up. I'm using tick marks, so then it will sort of so then I can spread it out over multiple lines. And then over on the other side, I used a pre-tag. And so between the tick marks and the pre-tags, I could get my sort of multiple lines here. And what else do I want to show you here? And that was basically it. Sort of two parts. I created this thing called message with this property message, then had this value, and then here's where we connect the Vue code to the page. We use this method mount, and I'm using the sort of # hashtag, which indicates an ID, and so we're finding an element with the ID of div target and applying this message Vue code to it. So that is the basic hello world of Vue. Again, main properties, CDN to the Vue code, and then down here, the particular Vue code then is sort of belongs to my application here. And then on the page, an ID that indicates where Vue is going to be applied, and then this curly curly message. Okay, version 2, the more sort of a module version. So the CSS is going to be the same, but I'm going to have message to and this one with the module in the name. So still the CDN is one of the things that will change. I will still be connecting to it. I didn't bring it down locally. I'm still going up to the internet, but where I go up to the internet has changed. That's part of the change in sort of into version 2, the modular version. This part is the same, the HTML. Other than taking out the CDN, the HTML is pretty much the same. And then, of course, I'm going to message to here instead of message. But here is the region I'm going to apply VUE to and the curly message. So again, in version 2, I've taken out the connection to the CDN here. I'm going to put it someplace else. This part's the same with curly message. I'm going to message to. Oh, and another change is that in the script, I'm saying that the type of script is a module. All right, then here I am over in message 2, and here's the replacing, here's where we're going out to the CDN as an import. So we have import curly create app from the URL for the version 3 view, and I'm using a create app here. So this is more sort of a little bit more anonymous. I'm not, before I named my thing message and then separately mounted message to the element on the page. Here it's sort of more anonymous and done all at once, but it has all the same basic properties. It has data, there's a message property, a different quote, and then before it's all done, mount it. Since I didn't give it a name, I had to mount it sort of all at once. I can separate it if I give it a name, but if I don't give it a name, then it's got to be sort of one continuous thing. But those were some of the differences. Okay, so no mention of CDN up here in the head, which is where I had it in the other one. But down here, when I link to my code, I'm saying it's a type module. Then here in the beginning of the module is the import. So that is me going out to the internet in JavaScript rather than in HTML and grabbing the VUE code. And then just a variation here as well as sort of being a little bit more anonymous, sort of going straight into the mount rather than giving it a name and then separately mounting it. Okay, that's what I wanted to show you. Thanks for your attention.